Good evening, Razorback Nation. We're back here. We just finished our Razor recap earlier tonight, but we are here with Peyton of Pigpen Collective to do a quick coaching hire front office Q&A session with him, as he had a meeting yesterday with the front office. We'll let him dive into that. We'll talk about the head coaching hire and get into any of your questions or anything that you want to discuss. So I'll give the floor over to you, Peyton, and you can get started.
Yeah, I assumed this would be the bigger news. The front office told me to expect something by like Tuesday in our meeting. And everybody in that room was very confident. And you aren't that confident if you don't have your guys. So I think this has kind of been known for a little bit amongst the athletic department. They mentioned how it was tight-lipped. And, of course, I asked the questions they couldn't answer. But no, we have our left and right limits now with the front office. They're not from Arkansas, right? So we kind of have to give them that, hey, this is how you know Arkansas is, and I think it's pretty good to like have a seat at the table. I know a lot of people on Twitter said we don't have a seat at the table because they did this. Like literally, I met with them yesterday. They had this hire before yesterday. Things aren't going to change overnight. But what doesn't help is with the recruits or with anybody else, or to get us out of the laughingstock, is to go and, I guess, protest on campus or say all these negative things online. Because guess what? I'm going to be honest with everybody. I didn't like the hire. This wasn't my guy, but I'm not going to not get behind him. Like the fact that there was so many fans at the 2-10 game when it was rainy and it's cold tells me that people are going to get behind him. And it's like, let's just go ahead and get it now. Let's get the NIL right. Let's get this fan run thing going and give him a shot. Because I'm going to tell you, this is Hunter's last chance to get it done. If this doesn't go well, he's going to get fired. But right now, to fire Hunter Yurachek when basketball is doing good, baseball is doing good, both of those are going to compete for a national title, would just be the wrong thing to do for us, because the front office has shown that they can run those programs. Remy Cofield told me when he came in, he told Hunter Yurachek that he would have to get everything right by 2027. He's not a guy that comes out into the media. He doesn't want to be that guy. And if you look around at the media right now, who wants to be that guy? Because if you say something that's not right, you're going to get ran through the mud. I don't blame the guy. I mean, they could put more out, but at least we can go talk to him and give you more information that we didn't have before. So it was just really good to hear them. They're really excited for the Pigpen Collective. They like the idea. They like to have another source of revenue that they can go and tap into. And now I'm just going to say something for the fan base that I really want to put out. What's not productive is I seen someone post Hunter Yurachek's office number. So if you're going to call the AD and now he's having to get his phone ran by fans all the time, calling and frustrated and mad, he's not able to do his job. So now he's going to suck more because he's behind on everything. And also, it was told to me by the front office that Inside Arkansas had hit him with a Freedom of Information Act, right? So they have to give up their emails or their phones to the government to go through to release those records to whoever does the act. Well, that's a whole day that they don't have access to all that they don't get to do their job. And guess what? Arkansas fans have expressed how they want us to go into this third lane. Well, what happens when the athletic department decides to go into that third lane and you just Freedom of Information Acted them, and they go in and find an email that now sanctions the entire program? So it's like, let's kind of be smart. If you want to be smart with one of those, go do it to Ole Miss and slow them down. Don't do it to your own athletic department. Like, I get we're all frustrated, but it's not going to do any good when we're hurting ourselves. So that's all I have on the meeting. If we take questions, I can get into more in depth into stuff. But for coaching searches, again, like, this wasn't my guy. I expressed how much I didn't like that he destroyed our logo when we played him. I was totally disgusted by the culture at Memphis when I went there. But you know what this guy did? His first post is, let's make our state proud. He knows that this is an our state, that people, like, you have to buy into Arkansas. And I sent the front office a message. I'm like, hey, this is not going to be well received. This is not going to go well at all today on social media. But if you make this press conference go great, if he comes out and says the right things, people will get behind it. And I got people at ASN that talk to recruits. I'm not allowed to talk to recruits, but they can relay the information to me. And what they have said so far is that recruits knew for a little bit that this was probably going to happen from the athletic department, and the in-state guys are 100% on board. He's already going after in-state kids. And at least if we're going to suck, at least it's Arkansans out there doing it for us, right? Like, but until they play a game, there's no point. It's just wasted effort. But, yeah, I'll give it back to you.
Right. And so that's something that we hit on a little bit earlier in our show was you can be upset and everything and all you want towards the athletic department, whatever it may be. But to like what you hit on earlier, I don't think anything needs to be directed at Ryan Silverfield himself. It's like, give the guy a chance. He's taking the chance. It's on him. So, like, that part, hey, at least give him the opportunity. Like you said, if we can give him the resources, see what he can do. And then if the product on the field doesn't match how we feel, like if he has all the resources he could want, X, Y, Z, all the support, sure, at that point. But, don't hate the guy until you give him a chance. And like you mentioned, Josh says here, I'm going to ride with him. He can recruit in-state, hoping he can keep that talent home, develop him. And to your point, if he can get in contact with some of those guys that are decommitted from their schools and not committed right now, flip those guys, maybe talk to some of these other recruits and push it hard, because that's something that we've talked about we wanted. It doesn't seem like the past couple of years we put emphasis on recruiting in-state. So that's something that, it seems like he's going to come in right away and change that. Let's go out and get those in-state guys first and then build around that afterwards. And so, yeah, I agree. So, one question here is, so with the front office supposing to know their guy ahead of time, being confident, why do you think there maybe wasn't any chatter about Silverfield up until this point?
Well, I mean, I think the media did a really disservice to Arkansas fans during the search. We got Coach Calipari, and that was because of John Tyson. And I know people say Hunter didn't have anything to do with that, but Hunter brought us Musselman. Let's give him some credit for turning the basketball program around. But, I think, the media gave us these big hopes, and Hunter's guy from the start was Silverfield. And I think that the athletic department just didn't go and correct things that the media started, because people wanted to be the first person to break it. Everyone wanted to feel like they knew the inside scoop. And honestly, the athletic department didn't say anything. Like, they said their attorney was going to be busy the next couple of days, and maybe, by Tuesday he'd be freed up so that I can send a contract over for him to review so I can sign some players. So they were insinuating it, and it's like they were so confident in the meeting, and you don't look that confident if you don't have the guy. And
right,
honestly, I think they tight-lipped it, and they were very professional about it. And they sent a letter out to the donors. They did not confirm this. This is from John Neighbors, who reported it, that the donors got an email from the athletic department saying that, hey, everything's fine. So if that's true and that actually happened, it would make sense. Like, hey, we had Silverfield in the bag from the get-go, but that would be what I'd have to say to that.
Yeah. So that makes sense. And then, so with the timing and everything, we have a press conference on Thursday, 1:00. It's going to be his introductory press conference. Like you said, want to see him come out, win the press conference. That's going to be number one thing that you got to have happen. Come out, say what you need to, win this press conference, and kind of give confidence to everybody. And then not sure exactly what this public event's going to be, public celebration they're doing after the press conference at 5:00. That's going to be interesting. I know they said that's going to be at the Broyle Center. Doors open at 4, event begins at 5. So, I guess your chance to go in and meet Ryan Silverfield. He's going to be introduced at the basketball game on Wednesday. Hopefully not a ton of people booing at the game. Again, give the guy a chance. Be mad at the AD, Hunter Yurchek, whoever you want, but it's, no fault of Ryan, his own accepting the job. So, that's what the next few days is going to look like. We already know, and you can speak to this a little bit, that not too long ago it broke that Memphis GM is going to be following Ryan Silverfield here to be our GM for football. You mentioned that Remy talked about kind of being overarching GM and kind of let the coaches handle their rosters in a sense. So what do you make out of that?
Well, so I mean, I haven't looked and done my research on this guy, but it would make sense if Coach Silverfield trusted him to go and recruit and evaluate guys that can fit his system. Then why not try it out? I mean, he wouldn't bring him in here if he didn't think he could succeed, right? Like you got to think too. It's like Silverfield's 45. Do you think he'd want to take this job if he thought he was going to come in here and have no success and his career would be in the dumps after? Like that doesn't like a young guy's not going to risk their career like that. So he's bringing in this guy. Let's trust him. Yeah, but Remy Cofield in our conversation, he stressed like he lets the coaches build. He wants a coach that would come in and build the roster. He doesn't want to have total control. He's like, you can have some autonomy over what you're doing. He's going to go find the money for them to get who they want to get. And he said it's a business. Like kids just come to the table wanting money, and that's what it's about. And if we have a front office that has a plan and they can go out and get the donors on board, which I asked him because it's been reported that donors haven't wanted to back anything. And he said that he thinks it's just going to take a coach to come in, to have a vision, and then the money will follow. He also mentioned that in the past, donors would give money to certain things and it would be used to other things. And he promised while he was GM here that that's not going to happen anymore. That's done. Those days are over, and things are getting changed. But again, they came into a situation where we had screwed up NIL twice. That wasn't why he was GM. And now he's having to fix that because they were in a contract with that company. And they're having to go retroactively fix it and implement new things. And that's where it's taking time. But that's where he gets as he's just going to be the overall GM. And he has people over in certain teams to do well with those teams.
Right. And so a little information, Scott Gasper, so he was on Ryan Silverfield's staff at Memphis. And before Memphis, he was the director of player personnel at East Carolina, was previously the director of recruiting at West Virginia, and director of player personnel at Indiana. So he's been in a very similar type role many times before. So, and to your point, he's been with Silverfield, so he knows what type of guys he wants to look at. So that's beneficial there. And this is a big one that I'd be interested to see if happens. Josh says, I would like to see if he can flip Kane Archer from Greenwood. So as we know, earlier this week, decommitted from UCF, then the next day committed to Utah, who is on Arkansas' schedule next season. I don't know if it's too late in the process, but, that might win over some Arkansas fans if he went out there and was able to flip an in-state kid like Kane Archer from Greenwood to come to play for him at Arkansas.
That'd be great. I love in-state kids. I want to keep in-state kids, but you also got to think it's like if you're paying a quarterback to develop, that's money that could have went to immediately – people that would come in and immediately help the program. So, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. It's like, hey, Kane, go out and play for a couple of years, and when you're ready, transfer in, and we'll pay you whatever you need, and you'll be the starter. But if he wants to come in and develop him, that's awesome, great, will help. It's just whatever the coach wants to do, and I support it.
Right. And so looking at this and establishing fact. All right, so Ryan Silverfield is a coach now. So going forward, you got your press conference, and the next step is building a staff. And so the next question, we talked about it earlier too, was what is his staff going to look like? How much of his staff does he bring from Memphis? What is his staff? Does he go out and maybe bring some other guys that he knows that are at other programs? And I know it's very, very unlikely, but even people have talked about what's the odds that maybe he keeps a guy like Petrino on staff. That's the next few questions we need to answer over the next week or so as he's here now. So I'm sure he's already on the phone with people, making phone calls, and whether it be with his guys from Memphis being, hey, do you want to come over? What it may be, but what's your thoughts on, that over the next couple of weeks in that process?
Well, let's just hit the Petrino thing right off the bat. Like, it's never going to be good for a new head coach to have an old head coach on a roster. It didn't help Sam Pittman out. It's not going to help Ryan Silverfield out. The Petrino train is gone. We need to be appreciative for what he did, but it's gone. And then for the rest of it, I mean, it's whoever he wants, but I think I'm going to read into something a little bit more than I probably should. But in the Hawgs Plus little teaser video they did when Hunter went and met Silverfield, he said, hey, let's go win a national title. And if you take what Hunter said at the Little Rock Touchdown Club about how he didn't think we could win one unless we were funded correctly, that tells me maybe he knows that he has some donors to back the situation that we just don't know about yet. And so I hope, I'll get very excited if that roster has the backing. But at the end of the day, it's whoever, Ryan wants. And if he wants to go out and get whoever he needs and they give him the money, then that's going to put him up for success. But if we don't fund him, it's like we're just like, why are you not going to fund a guy or try to do everything for him and just accept that we are going to lose? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And so I'll read you, and I mentioned this during our show earlier too, this is from Juracek regarding the coaching hire. So he said, it became clear during our conversations that Coach Silverfield shares our vision of making the college football playoffs and competing for a national championship. And here's what I want to highlight. With our new and significant financial investment in the football program, we are confident we now have the coach and resources to make that happen. Throughout the search process, Coach Silverfield's proven ability to win games over a sustained period separated him from the pack and make him the right choice for our next head football coach. His teams at Memphis have been consistent winners since he took over in 2019. The knowledge of our state and region he brings, along with the ability to build and maintain a program, will provide a great foundation for our program moving forward. So that part, new and significant financial investments, like you were talking about earlier. So him saying that now compared to what he said before at the touchdown clubs means either something's changed between now and then, that he's confident, all right, we've got funds and resources that this new coach needs to be successful, and he thinks Silverfield can be the guy that, with those resources, take Arkansas to that point.
Yeah. Which one thing I will say, I don't know because I haven't seen it. I mean, I was on the road most of the day. I'm catching up now. That's why we're on here so late. But I haven't seen a booster come out and not support him. It's just been fans that really don't know what's going on, media members that clearly didn't even know he was going to get hired. So it's people out of the know. So that tells me one thing. And it's like, they were so confident when I was in that meeting. So I think something has changed. I hope something has changed. Again, it's either something did change or the Hunter knows this is his last shot, and if he doesn't get this right. But as I say that too, none of the boosters have came out and wanted Hunter fired. The Board of Trustees trusted him to hire this coach. And here's a little food for thought. We weren't in the interview. What if Silverfield was the guy that was like, I want this job. I think we can win here. Because I can see the other coaches coming in. It's like, okay, what are you going to give me? And it's like, I don't want that mentality here. If you don't think you can win here and you're just here for the check, everybody said they didn't want that. What if this was the most confident coach, the most energetic coach, a youthful coach that he knew he could do it. He's like, if you trust me, I can do it. I want the energy. And he showed the energy in everything he's done. And I want to believe that this is going to be a positive hire.
Right, exactly. So, and now it's to the point, like I said, it's now, all right, go time. He's hired. Let's build that staff. Let's start, keeping the kids you have committed already. You flipping your commits from Memphis, and then are you able to flip in these in-state commits? That's going to be the top 3 things on his to-do list, because National Signing Day is right around the corner. And then before you know it, within a month, all right, it's going to be transfer portal season. He's going to have to go out and build a team. And so, that's the next steps. But also, he had the team meeting today at 4:00. And so he's already met with the team. I'm sure he's going to probably start having individual conversations over the next few days among his probably insanely busy schedule. But, looking forward, my opinion, the entire defense need overhauled. But I think there's several pieces on this Arkansas offense, young, talented pieces, that I would love to see him be able to keep and retain going forward, while building this roster.
Yeah, I'm 100% with that too. But at the end of the day, I want him to have his players and what he wants to do. And if they're not going to – he seems like the coach is like, if they're not going to get behind how he's going to coach, then he ain't going to want them. Right. And the beauty of it is we're 2-10. It cannot get worse than this. We're going to win the 2 trash games that we're supposed to win on our schedule, but it's going to 9 SEC games. So It's going to be harder, but the beauty of it is there's a transfer portal now. We supposedly have money, and you can flip a switch like that. He can go out and get 45 guys, 50 guys in the portal that are about his system, that want to be here for the right reasons, and he can turn it around fast. So I'd say, like, if we evaluate this 2 years down the road and it's not doing well, then that's when we can go ahead and move on. And that's the beauty of NIL and this being a business now, is it's not going to be like, well, we hired a new coach. He's got to get his guys in. It's got to take a while. We got to wait 3 years to see anything. Like, no, we should see results immediately on the field.
Yeah, I agree. And so that's what's going to be interesting to see, how that process goes for him going forward. Lee Manuel says, hey, I met you Saturday, Payton, and that they've taken the whole day to decide that I like him, but are very curious about coordinators. I think that's going to be everybody is, all right, let's see who he brings in to coach more specifically on the defensive side of the ball, because, over the few years, our struggles, that's what I'm going to be watching for. But Josh asked, could you tell us a little bit more about the Pigpen Collective, how memberships and donation work?
Okay, yeah. So if you go to www.pigpencollective.com, you go to our memberships. We have the $1 Pledge Club. We have the Every Fan membership. $1 Pledge Club is $1 a week. Essentially, if we get 20,000 fans approximately to go at $1 a week, we'll have $1 million in revenue a year. The goal, kind of the collective right now, as we talked with the front office, is that we can take the bottom and go bottom up as they go top down and take a lot of stress off of them. Obviously, we don't have the money to go and sign a big player right now, but if we could sign a lot of these lower players and the teams that are not one of the big 3, then they can focus all the revenue sharing on football. They can focus all the big NIL money on football. So it's just really a coordinated attack there. But the donations, you can go and do a reoccurring donation. You could do a one-time donation. 10% goes to operational costs. All the other funds are going to go to players. And that's a promise that we're going to stick by, and that's what we're going to do. It gets sitting in an account right now. We've sent our first contract out. That was a big part of our meeting, is going over that contract and making sure it's compliant. I hope to have a deal done in 2 weeks, and that was a lot faster than when I was originally on this show. So if that answers your question, you're free to ask follow-up questions, because that's a good thing. We want to talk about the collective.
Yeah. And so, again, this is a QA session, so whatever you guys want to ask, what you want to know, to the extent of what we can tell you, we will. But Josh says, I'm already a member, was just curious on what the operations of it looked like. So. Okay,
great. Thank you, Josh. And thanks to the person that met me this weekend. I mean, I met a lot of great fans, and it's like, we're passionate. We're still there. They're 2-9, but we're here.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, as crappy as the weather was, as cold as it was, you were there, I was there. It was one heck of a game. And, we had hope for a half. We went into halftime leading. So, it wasn't – it was still terrible that we lost. But at the end of the day, we had one good half of football, I guess.
Yeah. It's Petrino's last ride. At least we got to see it, but that's – yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, too, on what we'd mentioned earlier. Another reason I don't think he's coming back, it made it clear to me the day when he posted his thank you appreciation post. That was kind of telling me he's done, at least with Arkansas. Who knows? Maybe he goes and is going to be a coordinator somewhere else, or an analyst, something. But, something we also talked about was, he probably would be fine spending a lot of time with his family and his grandchildren. As well. I think he was just glad to get the opportunity to come back to Arkansas and, try his best to get it done here. But, I'm glad to see he post the appreciative post at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think he definitely came back and rewrote the ship and kind of left on better terms than when he originally left. So I appreciate him. I grew up watching him, so it's very nice to see that.
Yeah. And part of me at the end of the day wanted to see him have success, win some games, and possibly get the opportunity to, lead the program another year or two. But, also, at some point you can't live in the past. And I think if that's the route we would have went and, say he won 2-3 games, got us to maybe 500, 5-6, something like that, or 5-7, where this team showed some fight and whatnot, and you did make him the coach, how many years realistically would you have had with him at his age and things like that? So I think that's probably something that went into consideration, because we know Yurchik did say at the press conference when they introduced him as interim that he'll get a fair shot. He'll get, he put his hat in the ring, if you will. So, but, which showed he still loves Arkansas, wanted to, make a difference here, but, win another direction, and, that's okay. At the end of the day, nostalgia is great, but, I think it was time for a new face, some fresh blood, if you will, here on the Hill.
For sure. We got any more questions?
None yet. I'm going to go see if we have any from earlier. But
yeah, like one guy commented on like my peach fuzz or whatever today. I was just like, oh my God, like really? Like, is that anything of substance? And of course, people talk about my age, but my thing to them is like, I've never seen Arkansas be successful other than the 2 Bobby Petrino years. Like I was 5 when D-Mac was the running back. So if anything, it's like, y'all are like, I've been a Razorback fan for 50 years. Well, you've seen a lot of good stuff. You at least have some nostalgia. It's just been crap for me, and I'm out here trying to raise money for them. Like, I don't understand how that's an argument. Well, you young skipper. Like, that doesn't make any that doesn't make any sense. I've only seen suck. My whole adult life, they've won like maybe 10 total games.
Yeah, I get that. I'm kind of very similar. I grew up, one of my first games was watching McFadden in Little Rock play. And then, my time in college up here was the Bielema years. And, so not the worst, but, couldn't ever get over that hump there. And then my wife, she had to unfortunately bear through the Chad Morris years. So
I was a freshman on Chad Morris's first year. Me and a couple buddies, when I was going to Lyon College, drove to watch them play at Ole Miss. And it was the Nick Starkel versus whoever battle. And that was tough to watch. At least we had a quarterback for, Pittman's years. Here we had 2. So
that's true. Yeah. I will say another thing that we saw earlier today too, 4-star wide receiver commit DeQuan Provo. He quoted the Arkansas football account saying, "Welcome to the Hill, Ryan Silverfield." He said, "Let's do it." So it seems like he's on board. So, I think that's a good sign that, we introduced him today, and you've got players already, on board, ready to stick by the program. And so, again, the next few weeks is going to be telling. What staff does he put together? Can he flip any guys? Can he get any these in-state kids to decide to come here? And so, yeah, I'll be watching for press conference, obviously, on Thursday. That'll be very telling. And then from there, we'll, see what happens. Other than that, it's the point where it's basketball season, time to see what Coach Cal is going to do the rest of the season. And we got these early season tests that, is going to get us ready for conference play, and we'll see how the fan reaction goes on Wednesday as he's introduced at the game, halftime of the Louisville game. So,
yeah. Which, if we don't have any more questions, I'll end on this. Like, the one thing I will say to the fans, it's like, we have basketball season and we have baseball season. We're going to forget about the 2-10. You're going to start loving Coach Silverfield. It's going to happen again. You'll start drinking the Kool-Aid once August rolls around and spring ball. Next year we'll be right back in it. But do not take away from these basketball players. Do not go out there and boo or chant and take the spotlight of what's going to probably be the first sellout of the season against Louisville, or what should be, because y'all haven't
Right.
shown up to the games in Fayetteville yet. Don't come in there just to boo this guy or to chant at Hunter Yurtek. Don't take away from the team. Don't be that school. We aren't that school. Let's be supportive of the guys that are out here that came to Arkansas and are going to hopefully go and do great things in March. But don't take away, like, let bygones be bygones. The football season's over. Trash Hunter online all you want, but leave it out of Bud Walton.
I agree. Not taking away from this basketball team. A lot of talent there, a lot of season. I think this is going to be a fun season. Josh added here too. He said, I'm 30. Both my daughter and I call the Hawgs, and it saddens me that they didn't get to see the Mallet years. I just want to see us relevant again. One main reason that I joined the collective. So there you go. He understands it coming from that fan perspective. He wants to see us get to that point again. Hence, why we're working on building this fan-led Pig Pen collective. So, yeah, loved how you ended that. So, be supportive Wednesday. Let's not be that school that goes out there and boos and all that fun stuff. So, if there's no other questions, we'll wrap this up. We just want to do a quick Q&A session regarding talking about the hire a little bit. Peyton's meeting with the front office. And so, as we'll continue on, we'll build there. We'll have different times Peyton joins on with us during the season and as we go forward. So if there's nothing else, no other questions, we'll wrap up here. We'll get out of here and start watching the next few weeks and see what Silverfield does and what he builds and get ready to have a fun Arkansas basketball season. So no other questions. We'll wrap up. We'll get out of here and we'll see you guys next time.